Okay, so here we are in the medical pavilion. This,
now you've met Andrew Ryan, the bloody king of Rapture. Now find your way to emergency access.
okay, so we got a lot of these PA announcements, you know, that sound so fake. It's great. So we have the security bot here. This medical pavilion introduces us to hacking. So we hit V, and it's this sort of mini game where you uncover tiles, and liquid flows out of this little area right here, and you have to swap the tiles around so that there's a direct path from where the liquid comes in from to where this little arrow pipe is. And once you get it, you can hit increase flow speed and it'll just go right away, and hey, hack successful. So hacking a security bot successfully gives me an ally that will shoot at enemies whenever I'm in danger, whenever an enemy is just hostile to me. Enemy is hostile to me. Whenever I'm around someone who is hostile to me. This is Circus of Value. It's a vending machine. I open it up and like I can spend all this cash that I have on, you know, on whatever is in here that I want. Vodka, it's great. I can also hack these. Hacking them gives me a better price on the items that are there, as well as giving me access to there we go, as well as giving me access to a couple items that I didn't have access to earlier. So these three, you may have noticed when I went through it a little fast, but before I hacked it, all of these were grayed out and they had hack only in parentheses right here. So that just means that I can only get them if I hack the machine. So I'm not gonna buy anything yet. How many E-Vibos do I have? I have one. I'll buy another one. Buy another E-Vibo. I picked this up.
Dr. Simon said he'd release me today.
McClintock is the same woman who got attacked at the New Year's party, the first diary we found.
He told me that once the scar tissue was gone, he was gonna fix me right up. Make me prettier than any girl I've ever seen.
Sounds, boom, what a shot.
No one interested in my case.
So Medical Pavilion, so you don't know this, but I just played through almost all of Medical Pavilion a little bit ago, and it was meant to be recorded and like uploaded, but I accidentally died at the end and I turned off the respawn system and I didn't save, so like I would have had to have gone through actually the entire level again. So now I'm doing this all over again, trying to make sure I don't forget to talk about anything. So normally I'm supposed to go through here. I'm supposed to go, you know, I'm trying to go to Neptune's Bounty. That's where Atlas wants us to go to. So I run up here. This is locked, yeah. And I'm supposed to like do this to try to get in there. I can't. There's a splicer in here. Instead, it sets off an alarm.
You want to use the emergency access.
I have to turn it off. So, okay, there we go. So now, in order to... Thank you very much, security bot. Yeah, come back in. Ah! Hold on, I'm gonna try to let them follow me in here. There we go. So let me deal with this combat really quick. There are a couple more splicers. There we go. There's someone, yeah, shooting at me from up here. You know, I did this a lot better than I did when I played it just a moment ago, so at least I have that going for me. So now, I think there's a pistol here. I think there's a couple of loot items here. Yeah, some bandages. There we go. So in order to go back. This is still the way I need to go to get to Neptune's Bounty. It's still the way to go, but now it's locked, and the only way I can get through is by getting a special key from Dr. Steinman, the psychopath who is in charge of this place. I looted everything else. So that is my next mission. I have to find Steinman, presumably kill him, because he won't give anything to me for free. Ghosts are ridiculous.
You keep an eye peeled for Steinman. The daft bastard set up shop in the surgery wing. You want to find him? Just follow the blood.
Sounds ominous. Above all, do no harm. I like... Medical Pavilion isn't my favorite level in the game by any stretch, but they do a great job. Like, the terrifying hospital isn't a brand new concept, but I think they do a really good job with it in this game. It's, you know, stuff like this, dude. Above all, do no harm, written in blood. You know, stuff like that. I really like the way they do it. Even though Medical Pavilion as a whole, you know, has its issues. And it's not even that it has its issues. It just isn't as much fun. It just is a part of the game that you have to go through for me. If that makes sense. There we go. So the turrets are another thing I can hack. Sorry, I didn't go over this in the first one. So the turrets are stationary. You know, they're stationary turrets. They operate very similarly to the flying turrets, the security bots. I hack them and they will come to my aid, but I think in exchange for not being able to move, I believe these turrets are able to take a little bit more damage. They just can't go with me. So, you know, pros and cons. I like them a lot, though. Oh, out of ammo there. Oh my goodness. Just go.
Remember, all their machines will short out right from you hit them with electro bolts.
There we go. Sorry, all kinds of stuff going on. I'm like trying to focus on talking while also focus on, you know, not dying. So what happened... Let me loot this really quick. So what happened just a moment ago, or earlier on when I died, like, there are these Vita chambers is what they're called. I don't know where the nearest one to me at the moment is, but they're these kind of like revival chambers. Was someone here? Or was that from back there? My goodness. I heard someone shouting and I have no idea where they were shouting from. Maybe the sound is just a little bit displaced. There we go. Apologies. Okay. So there are Vita chambers, which are something that can revive you if you die. But there's also a setting to kind of do it like hardcore. You can set up the game so that Vita chambers are turned off. So that if you die, you have to go back to your most recent save. And I didn't save from the starting point of Medical Pavilion, so by dying, because I forgot to turn on Vita chambers, I would have to redo the whole thing. So it's unfortunate. It's a dumb mistake on my part. I picked this up, so let me.
On the surface, the parasite expects the doctor to heal them for free, the farmer to feed them out of charity. How little they differ from the pervert who prowls the streets looking for a victim he can ravish for his grotesque amusement.
So in Rapture, the parasite is kind of this boogeyman general term for anyone who doesn't see eye to eye with the free market system in Rapture. So you hear them a lot in different diaries and stuff, just like, oh, the parasite, they're terrible, and oh, we don't want to do this because that's what the parasite would do. And it's just... I like that they have this sort of boogeyman that's based on their ideology. In that case, like it just, I think it adds a little bit to the game.
I was a German prison camp, only 16 years old when I realized I have love for science. German doctor, he makes experiments. Sometimes he makes scientific errors. I tell him it's an error, and this makes him angry. But then he asks, how can a child know such a thing? I think
Security cameras. I can hear the infernal things all around you. Ryan's eyes and ears.
So that last diary we heard was for Bridget Tenenbaum, and she is one of my favorite characters. She is a primary character throughout the game. Actually, we hear a lot of her recordings. She's still alive. We end up communicating with her. You really don't know who's alive and who isn't when you're listening to these recordings, but, you know, spoiler alert, Tenenbaum is alive. We actually see her in Medical Pavilion, so I don't feel bad sharing that information preemptively. There we go. So, security cameras. Security cameras are, if you stand in their spotlight for too long, you can, if you stand in their spotlight, the light will turn white and they'll start ringing and like trying to set off an alarm. But if you get out of the, like if I stand here and it were to see me and I would get out of the way, no, not right there. If I were to get out of the way fast enough, nothing would happen. But if I was in there, if I was in its vision for too long, then then alarms would sound and a whole bunch of these security bots would come after me. So this is fun. So this is the cremation center. So there was a body here being ready to be cremated, and in doing so, I got a tonic. First tonic of the game. Tonics are just little buffs you can give yourself. There are 3 different types. It's physical, engineering, and oh my goodness, I don't remember the third. But it's 3 categories of tonics, and they're just focus on different things. And the tonics, they cover a lot of territory. So like you have 2 slots for each at the beginning, and you can unlock more as you progress. So it kind of lets you be flexible with what you would like to do with, you know, with your playthrough. Like if you want to play a certain way, then cool, go ahead and do it. You just can tailor that to your specific play style. There we go. Okay. So we crawl. So this is, I don't think, yeah, there's nothing else worth knowing. This is kind of just like, from a flavor standpoint, it makes sense that this is... Oh.
We rebuild our city and the doubters and the flies spoil our home. 1,000 atoms to the man or woman who pins its wing.
Yeah, so Andrew Ryan's really mad at us. What I meant to say about flavor earlier, sorry, is that we get the Incinerate plasmid here. Incinerate is just like we have the Electrobolt, we shoot lightning. Incinerate lets us, you know, snap and we set stuff on fire. And every single time we get a new...
Light up foes to 1,000 degrees. Warning, fire spread.
So we get this little video every time we get a new plasmid. It's kind of funny. So, in a forced instructional way, we're now surrounded by these guys. This door is locked. They're not going to crawl through here. But we have this oil slick, so we can be like, hey, oil and fire, you know, that's a very typical combination in games, so let's give it a shot. And now they're dead.
All roads in Rapture lead to Ryan. The security, the splicers, the big daddies, the little sisters. He pumps some kind of chemical scent in the air. Pheromones, they call it. Makes them all dance to his tune.
Dang it. So Andrew Ryan's mad at us, and because of that, a whole bunch of other people are mad at us. Because of these pheromones that Atlas just talked about, he can kind of send them to me to attack me. I lost my security bot, and I'm mad because I lit this on fire and the security bot caught on fire. I didn't do that last time. I didn't think it would do that, so now I'm disappointed I don't have it anymore, but that's okay. I'll live. Anyway, so yeah, so this room really just exists as an avenue to give me Incinerate, because it's kind of She's like, yeah, it makes sense that you get incinerated in the crematorium. Is that the word I want? I think that's the word I want.
When Picasso became bored of painting people, he started representing them as cubes and other abstract forms. The world called him a genius. I've spent my entire surgical career creating the same tired shapes over and over again. The upturned nose, the cleft chin, the ample bosom. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could do with a knife what that old Spaniard did with a brush?
What that old Spaniard did with a brush. So these are health stations. For $16, I can heal myself up to max. Or if I hack them, enemies can use them too. That part's important. So if I leave them alone, it's $16. I can heal myself, but also other enemies will be able to do the same thing. But if I hack them, then it costs me only $10 to heal, and also I only have to, I only have to spend $10, and then also, if an enemy tries to use it, they take damage instead of gaining health, which is, which is definitely a nice thing to, like, it's just like, that's kind of unique, I guess, that not only do you make it cheaper, but also it harms enemies. Like, that's different to me. I like it. Do we even have a name? What is this? Oh, funeral home. This is a funeral home. Got him. Suffering's over. So, 0451. We see this little piece of paper here. It is a code. If then that sometimes you stumble upon codes that are just hidden around. We can use context clues to assume that the code is for this keypad. So 0451, and if we enter the correct code, we hear a ding, and the whatever we're trying to get into opens. Some ammo and Eve hypo. So this is cool. This is an automatic hack tool. What it does is, if I were to hack something, then instead of going through the process of the whole plumbing minigame, is what I call it, plumbing minigame, then you can get this. Then instead of going through the plumbing minigame, you can just say, no, I just want to do this for free. Just use my hack tool, and I don't have to do anything. There we go. This one's always a pain, because you always have to pay attention to when the turret, or when the door slides away from the turret, because it'll, open fire on you as soon as it can see you. So you just gotta respond right away, or you take, like, a lot of unnecessary damage. We have a safe back here. Safes are just another thing you can hack. They usually have a bunch of loot, some kind of money, fancy items and ammo types that are hard to find. You can also sometimes buy out. What this means is, instead of actually spending a hack tool or doing an actual hack process, I can spend money. I can spend money and make my problem go away, and just automatically open it by buying it out. But that's not really worth it, so I'm not going to do that, because we're still at a point where doing these hacking sessions is fairly easy. So it just doesn't make sense. So I search the safe. We got shotgun ammo for the shotgun we don't have yet, and armor-piercing pistol rounds. There's we just show up in this room and cool. It's a body, dead body. That's normal, right? I mean, this whole place, like I said, the terrifying hospital is not a new concept, but I really like Rapture's environments and what it can do for that setting. So you see this chat, it's just like, lights go off. What's going on? They closed! I hear you. I hear you making noise. So now we have security expert. This one, it reduces difficulty for when I'm hacking turrets, bots, and cameras. So I almost never keep that one. As soon as I have to replace something, like as soon as I get my 3rd tonic and I only have 2 slots, that's always the one to go. Oh, that was a mistake. Whoops.
Keep away from my patient!
Ugh. It's terrifying. The first time I played this game, I definitely didn't. I don't believe I noticed the door closing, and if you weren't listening, you could hear the steps he was taking. I mean, I guess I shouted, you know, I hear you, but in case you didn't hear it, you hear the steps he's taking, but like none of that registered to me the first time. So like, just I'm walking back, and suddenly this guy jumps out of here, and it was definitely a bit scary. Oh, we got this guy under here, cash register. So, too much of this is normal. Just, oh, bodies all over the place? Yeah, no, we're good. Okay. So, oh man. There we go. So I didn't actually say this, so there was all this ice here earlier. One of the things you gain by getting the incinerate plasmid is the ability to access these ice rooms because you're able to melt them. Or you're able to melt specifically the blocked passage, you know, the ice that's impeding you. So you'll notice, actually, I'm going to say this now. So this arrow up at the middle top of my screen is trying to direct me towards this way, but I'm not going to go there yet because I have to backtrack anyway to down here. So I'm just going to save myself the effort and do this part first. And then later, as soon as I'm done doing what I need to do here, I'm going to go back that way. You know, try to just make it a little bit easier. So this, watching me do hacking may not be terribly exciting, and I apologize, but I do my best to do it very quickly, so I can just, you know, hurry up and move along with everything. What do I? There we go. And just like at the beginning, we have this. We have these things that you can electrobolt. They'll give you access to the rooms. And this is okay. What do we have in here? Machine gun round, auto hack tool again, potato chips, some stuff. Not much. I think the most exciting thing in here is the hack tool. The rest of it is just kind of there. So I can set this on fire, and now he tries to stay hidden, but there's this guy here, and he throws this, what is the, I don't know, I keep forgetting what the word is. The word, like the medical bed that you can roll around people on, I forget what it's called, but he throws it at you when you go past a certain point, but I'm just gonna shoot him instead, because it's hard to see. Oh my goodness. Oh, he didn't die. Oh, see, he was nowhere near it, and then he threw it at me. That was hilarious. I thought I got him. I didn't see him walk away. I thought he fell down. Anyway, so that's what happens. But because his character is set to automatically do that, even though he was standing way the heck over there, this still had the trigger, and he did the action just way over there, and it flung this and the bandages at me. It's kind of funny. All this bandage ended up all the way over here. I don't need it. I'm at full health.
Simon, I know medical pavilion is your matter, but you might want to cogitate on this. Ocean water is colder than a witch's tip. You don't heat the pipes freeze. Pipes freeze, pipes burst. Then Rapture leaks. Now, I realise you're a posh sort of geezer, and frankly, I don't give a toss if you piss or go fishing. But once Rapture starts leaking, the old girl's never going to stop. And then I'll be sure to tell Ryan he's got you at that.
So, no lie, ocean water is colder than a witch's tit is by far one of my absolute favorite lines out of this game. I don't know why. I think it comes out of nowhere. Oh yeah, the ocean water. It's not just it's cold. It's colder than a witch's tit. And something about that just makes me laugh. And it's never left my head since the first time I actually realized what he said. Well, we got a... We got a camera over here. Da-da-da-da-da. So we have a lot of these rooms, for the record, you don't really have to go through, but because they offer, like, this sorry. Bioshock is definitely a game that rewards you for running around and looking for stuff. Like, you find extra ammo, extra... I want to say, like, extra tonics and stuff like that, plasmids on occasion. Like, it's just...
Clinical trial lot 44, Dr. Suchong, client
So, in this case...
Subject age white male.
Suchong is another character that we see a lot of his diaries throughout the game. He's a prominent speaker in the game.
Now, we've codenamed the lot 44 Enrage because of its tendency to
Increases wrench damage. Good enough. So, that whole, yeah, so Suchong, we find out, I think, over the course of this level, actually, he's one of the doctors who really tries to create fancy plasmids and tries to push what you can do. Yeah, still at full health. Huh. And tries to push what you're able to do with plasmids. So because of that, he ends up being a very prominent, like, backstory character. Just like, oh, this is the guy who, you know, created Enrage, and we don't have Enrage yet, but now we know the backstory of Enrage when we actually get it. So I picked up this shotgun. It triggers this sort of terrifying darkness, and then suddenly, like, we suddenly get attacked from all sides by all these nurses. Oh my goodness. There we go. So it's always, most of the time, I'm very hesitant to start that interaction just because it's not always easy. Like, I survived with taking very little damage, but it's very tense. Even knowing that I'm okay at doing it. I think I come out that way in a minute. Even knowing that I'm, like, capable of doing it, just, and I'm always like, okay, it's time to do it, it's time to do it, it's time to do it. But I mean, it's the only way you get the shotgun, so, you know. Actually, I mean, you can probably get the shotgun later. I don't think it's not a mandatory pickup, but getting it this early helps a lot.
At the German prison camp, they put me to work on genetic experiments on other prisoners. They call me das Wunderkind, the Wonder Child. Germans. All they can talk about is blue eyes and the shape of forehead. All I care about is, why is this one born strong and that one weak? This one smart, that one stupid. All that killing. You think the Germans could have been interested in something useful?
A lot of Tenenbaum's audio diaries are very interesting. She's definitely one of the most well-spoken characters in the game, so... But I mean, that's kind of the point. We haven't really hit that point yet, but Rapture was a city that was meant for the upper class. So, like, people who knew, or, like, people who were smart, people who could create, people who were... Oh, you got me. People who were, like, really capable people ended up down here, so it makes sense that she would be well-spoken, but it's something I still always really liked. So we had telekinesis plasmid is just sitting here. I'm gonna replace Incinerate because I've already opened up everything, and the Electrobolt will... Because it's just like with the tonics, I only have 2 slots right now, and I can get a third late. I can get more later. But now that I have 3 plasmids, I have to choose one to drop. So I'm gonna drop Incinerate because now I'm past the point of it being as useful as it can be. Whereas Electrobolt, I still run into robots, turrets and stuff where that's still useful. So I'm gonna get rid of Incinerate.
Throw objects at foes. You can even catch grenades and throw them back.
So now I'm able to catch and throw objects. That's what the point of this tennis ball turret is. I just grab it and I throw. And whenever I'm pointing at something and I just activate, it pulls it in towards me. And then I think there's an actual button that lets you change, that lets you opt to drop something, but I always just grab it and then change to... Oh, well, I did it. There we go. Shame on you for breaking gravity. So she walks through there, and I explode her because gas canisters that explode are a wonderful game mechanic. So, you know, gotta make sure we're implementing that in this game. Pistol rounds. And I don't know, it's probably not fun to watch me run around and loot stuff either, but I don't really have a choice, because if I want to play this game effectively, I have to loot everything. Then, yeah. Oh, did I leave something in here? No. If there's a lockbox, that usually what happens is, whenever there are too many enemies that are taking up, probably too much memory. I think memory is what I want, but like too much space in the game. Instead, they vanish and they leave behind a lockbox, and if there was loot on the corpse, it's still there, it's just inside of a lockbox. It's much less demanding on the game, which I think is a cool kind of workaround, so you can still do... It's a little bit immersion breaking, sure, but it's like... It's a cool way to get around that sort of thing, like, oh, we have these limitations, so this is how we're gonna fix them. By just magically transforming the bodies into something more aesthetically pleasing. Or something, sorry, not aesthetically pleasing, but transforming the bodies into something that isn't as demanding. So this is the dentist's office. Painless dental, as we now see on the bottom of the screen. Ha! This turret, it's not uncommon for there to be turrets that, like, you hack for the sole purpose of them not shooting you. Like, no one is gonna come through this way, so this turret isn't gonna actually hit anyone or anything. I'm hacking it specifically so I don't get shot by it, which is almost unfortunate. Like, I'd love it for if it was actually a little bit more useful than that. So we're gonna go in here. We have this, you know, we hear noises, we don't know what's going on. Disoriented, this corpse wasn't here before. And we know it's a corpse because the subtitle conveniently tells us that. You can throw bodies. It's nice.
Sometimes I pity the little freak. Such a tiny imagination. Content to sit there with the tanks of Adam tweaking and optimizing.
Okay, I'm gonna talk over Suchong on this one. So that's just one of those surprises in the game. Just like, oh well, you want to get this, you want to get both the diary and this speedy hacker tonic. So here's an engineering tonic. It reduces flow speed, so that means the fluid that is running through the pipes, it goes slower. So when that gas comes up, that is the trigger for this splicer to appear behind me. And it definitely caught me off guard the first and probably the second time I played the game, just because I forgot that that was the trigger. And one thing I dislike about it is that, like, you saw it, like, he stands still for a long time. Like, I'm pretty sure the trigger for him attacking you is based on, like, usually when I move, I would be turning, and at the same time I would be walking away, so it'd be, you know, something like this, and then I just run into him. And I think the trigger for the attack is stepping away from the desk. But because of that, if I just turn and look at him in the face, he won't do anything, or at least not right away. Maybe he does, but it takes a while. So it's one of those things where I think it'd be neat if they changed the trigger for him attacking you to be like as soon as he enters your field of vision, so like right here. Once I got to turning around and I'd be right here, it's like, oh, you know, then he starts attacking. I think that would add a lot to the scare, because then it's still a combat situation, even if I know he's there. Like, I've been doing this enough times, I know he's there, but... I'm sorry. There we go. But like, I can kind of make it so that he doesn't do anything to me, and that's, like, you know, not terribly fun. So, I think that would be a cool way to change it, but I certainly am not the person who knows how to do that. We went this way. Then we have this room right here. Let's, what do I need to do? Oh, right, yeah, telekinesis. So, telekinesis key. So I'm gonna let him... There we go. There we go. Okay, so this is just another dentist's office. There are a lot of... It's funny, like, in these themed areas, like this is the medical pavilion, there are a lot of just various medical businesses running around, and they're, like, sometimes organized, but not entirely. So it's just, like... I don't know, I think it's funny that there's just all of these businesses. There we go. Just all of these businesses running around, just doing their thing. But there isn't, like, always a lot of cohesion. I guess, I mean, that's not exactly atypical in, like, a mall or something. I don't know, maybe I'm just rambling without making a point. I apologize if that's what it feels like to you. Yeah, so here's another situation. So I have the camera out in the previous room, and now I'm gonna have this camera. Neither of them are ever gonna see an enemy. It's just, this isn't a part of the level where that happens. So I'm just gonna go ahead. Beautiful. So I'm just like hacking it just so I don't have to worry about him when I'm leaving. Got it. Sorry, I always with the safes, I always feel like I'm really rushed, even though I usually do them fine, just because it's a little bit tense because the timer is so short. The starting position is awful. Oh, anyway. Oh, hey, Eve-Hyper. Cool. So that's the dentist's office. A lot of what I just did was here to get me loot more than anything else. It doesn't really get a whole lot. So my there we go. Gotcha. I don't know why she was here though. I already cleared out this room. The 1-2 punch! Punch in the face with the shotgun round. Okay, so now that takes care of everything I wanted to do down here. So we have a nitro splicer again. Oh, he exploded himself. I don't know if I knew they could do that. Neat. Well, good for you. So that takes care of everything around here. I went through there, I did all that. So now I go into Steinman's office. The reason I waited is because I needed the telekinesis plasmid. And I would run into a barrier that would be like, oh, you need telekinesis. So, like, there was no point. I would just have to turn around anyway. This guy's a psychopath. I'm gonna.
Criminal with the law abiding. Then why are the plain allowed to mingle with the fair?
Why are the plain allowed to mingle with the fair? So as we see this Big Daddy, like, there's little side note that I really liked. When one of the developer commentaries, they were talking about how at the time, in 2007, when Bioshock came out, like, this is the remaster, but even the original version, like, the game was gorgeous for 2007. Absolutely gorgeous. And it worked because they could spend a lot of their efforts making these really confined spaces pretty. Like, in a lot of open world games, you have this whole expanse to deal with. But, like, when you don't have to dedicate memory or, space to anything beyond these small rooms, it makes life so much easier. Yeah. So this is what happens. So we do that. Boom, I shoot that thing. Oh, whoops. Give me another one, please. Thank you.
I can hear the splicers sounding off like it's the 4th of July. The explosives are hard to come by down here. If only you could get your hands on some of them bombs he's tossing. Things like that could help you turn the tables or clear a path.
Oh my goodness. Unfortunately, oh my goodness. Am I really? Really? So, the reason this is going so poorly is because there we go, is because of the path in which I throw them in. Like, the difference between this and this could make the bomb fly way the heck over there, like way over here. It's really hard to get it to land, like, at the door. And that's, like, every single time I play it, that's not something that's, like, new to me. Every single time, it's a hassle to... Oh, boy. Oh, no, okay. So, this happened in my first run as well, the one I did earlier that I then goofed up on and died. So, I cannot, affect pipes that already have liquid flowing through them. So, because I was planning on going around these, I started mapping out this way and I let the fluid run. And because of that, I now cannot pass through these overload tiles, which will deal extra damage to me if the fluid runs into them. Or the alarms, which sound off an alarm if the fluid runs into them. I just have to kind of make the fluid run off to the side because I cannot go past these tiles. So it's one of those things where, like, I just have to deal with the fact that I can't win. So I let it short circuit, I take the damage, I heal myself, and I try again. And I hopefully do better. Okay, so I'm gonna take the long way around. And it's awful. It happens very rarely, but it has happened to me before that oh no, how do I... Oh, okay, there we go. Fixed it. Ha! Solved the problem. So, it's happened before that, like, let's say we were still in this identical pattern, there would be, like, an alarm tile here and an overload tile here, and I would be completely blocked off from the end, and it's so frustrating. It doesn't happen very often, but it's really frustrating when you open this up like, yeah, I'm gonna hack this thing, and then it just doesn't care. It's like, no, you don't get the opportunity to hack it. So, that's unfortunate. It does, like I said, very rarely, which is great. But it does happen, and it's really annoying. Oh, see, look at it. See how I moved one thing, and all of this was already connected, so it just... boom. It's the best feeling when a whole bunch of stuff just lines up, and it's just like, boom, perfect. I didn't have to do any real work. So this last area is where we find Steinman. It's surgery wing. He's crazy. Like, I don't even really care about listening to his things.
She said, I'm here to free
tyranny of the commonplace.
I'm here to show you a new kind of beauty. I asked her, what do you mean, goddess? Symmetry, dear Steinman. It's time we did something about symmetry.
So he just... There we go. I have a security turret again, yay! So Steinman is just so possessed, almost comically so, by this idea of you have to be beautiful because we are now able to be as beautiful as we want, and it just completely possesses him into being a nut who's like, everyone needs to appreciate all of this. They need to put in the effort that I want them to put in. It just drives him over the edge. And I do like that about his character. That his character is a nut because he wants everything to be beautiful. Because he's been completely possessed by the power of Adam and what it can do. It's like, I like that. But sometimes it's just like, oh my goodness, this guy is really insane. So static discharge is another physical tonic. Whenever I get hit physically. It says when struck, so like that's, yeah, whenever I get hit with a melee weapon or something, I release a lightning charge all around me, an electric charge all around me. Yeah, there's stuff in here. Oh man, I should have been noticed. I don't know how I wasn't. Doesn't really matter though, because I'm just here. So I know you can get around cameras without electrocuting them or without using Electrobolt on them, but oh man, I'm trying to think. The security bots, I think you have to electrocute. I don't think you have to electrocute the turrets either, but not electrocuting them means you have to be standing right next to them and you just get hit a whole bunch, and it's like the amount of damage you take can be really not worth it. So it's just like, yeah, it's typically you electrocute everything except for cameras, because they're very easy to navigate around. You know, you don't really have to do a lot to be able to hack them.
Aphrodite is walking the hall,
Ugh.
shimmering like a scalpel. Steinman, she calls. Steinman, I have what you're looking for. Just open your eye, and when I see her, she cuts me into 1,000 beautiful pieces.
Yeah. I don't know if this... I'm pretty sure this Aphrodite that is like, this is his muse. I think it's all in his head. As best as I could tell, it's just this entirely fake persona that he's created. But I don't remember if it's actually mentioned if it's a real person. I have to assume it's not a real person. Anyway, Steinman is right here, so we're gonna start the battle in just a minute.
What can I do with this one, Aphrodite? She won't stay still! I want to make them beautiful, but they always turn out wrong! That was too fat! This one too tall! This one too symmetrical! And now... what's this goddess? An intruder! He is ugly! 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 Ugly!
Ugly!
Hideous!
Boom. So thanks to the security bot, he was not terribly difficult. Like, the entire... oh, armor-piercing pistol rounds, that's cool. The entire time, he wasn't focused on me because of my bot, so that was kind of an easy boss battle. He's not...
You alright? Those time somebody took care of that sick bastard. Make sure you get the key off Steinman and head back to emergency access. I'm working my way to the backside of Port Neptune myself. We'll get there soon enough.
So, like, he... It's like, I think it's supposed to be a hard boss battle when you're, like, fresh, but it's very easy to just know what to do at this point. So, like, he didn't care at all about me because he was... Oh, jeez. See? He didn't care at all about me because he was so focused on the turret. And so all I had to do was throw some ammo at him, and eventually he fell down. Which is... I don't know, like... realistic. What do I know about realism? But it's one of those things, it's like, maybe they could do it differently, but, like... I don't know. It is what it is. So that, anyway, that's kind of an easy boss battle. We have this. This is the recording of Steinman actually going nuts.
The nose looks terrific, Dr. Steinman. Doctor?
You know, looking at it now, I didn't realize how much her face. Scalpel?
Excuse me?
Scalpel.
Doctor, she's not booked for a facelift.
Let's just come in here.
Doctor, stop cutting. Doctor, stop cutting. Get me the chief of surgery. Get me the chief of surgery now!
Yeah, so that was time ago. He's just like, oh, I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna decide that what? What is... Whatever. I'm gonna decide that I want this woman to look a certain way. Did my security bot die? Where'd it go? I didn't even hear it explode or anything. Okay, well, I guess I'm down to security bot again. It's disappointing. This is, yeah, that's what he does. He's just like, okay, cool, I'm good. I know what I want to do, and I'm gonna do it. Based on my decision and not the decision of this person who paid for my services.
Sounds like another tunnel collapse. Welcome to Rapture, the world's fastest growing pilot joke.
Flashback.
It's a little one. Here's your chance.
First little sister. Cutscene ahoy.
Stay away from her, or it is you who will be shot next.
Yeah, there's Tenenbaum.
He's just looking for a wee bit of Adam, just enough to get by.
I'll not have him hurt my little ones.
It's okay, lad. It's not a child, not anymore, it ain't. Dr. Tenenbaum saw to that.
Bitte do not hurt her. Have you no heart?
Aye, that's a pretty sermon coming from the ghoul who cooked up them creatures in the first place. Took fine little girls and turned them into that, didn't you? Listen to me, boyo. You won't survive without the Adam those things are carrying. Are you prepared to trade your life, the lives of my wife and child, for Tenenbaum's little Frankenstein?
Here. There is another. Use this. Free them from their torment. I will make it to be worth your while. Somehow.
Okay, so so now we have these little sisters that we can find, and we can choose to either, we're gonna get a little information screen in a moment. It's like, oh, you can rescue or harvest. Harvesting them means they die, but you get a whole bunch of Adam. Rescuing them is you get less Adam, but they survive, and Tenenbaum has promised to make it worth your while. So this right here is the sorry. This right here is the core of what makes the game's moral choice system. But the problem is, here, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to rescue, and I'll explain. I'll talk about that in a minute. So this is the process of rescuing a little sister. There we go. And now she looks, more like a normal kid.
The path of the righteous is not always easy, yes. The reward will become clear in time. Be patient.
Let them finish talking.
Tenenbaum's playing you for a sap. Those things may look like wee little girls, but looks don't make it so. You'll need all the Adam you can get to survive. If you cross paths with another of them gatherers garden machines, make sure you pick up a new class or two. That's if the price ain't too dear, of course.
So the problem with the system that they've implemented, this idea of, you know, saving them gives you less, but you get the feel-good feeling. You get to feel good about saving them. Or you just like, you know, whatever, I want to be as best as I can, and that means they die, and whatever. The problem is, she talks about making the reward worthwhile. There is a finite, a very specific amount of little sisters in the game that you can either rescue or harvest. And every 3, Tenenbaum will radio you up, and she'll be like, hey, you've done us some good, so a little sister is going to run to a gatherer's garden machine and put out a teddy bear, and you can find some goodies in it. And inside of the teddy bears are always more Adam. And so the way the math works out, by the end of the game, if you have rescued every single little sister, then it ends up being in your favor. Like I think the math is, it's been a while since I actually looked at the numbers, but they're either almost identical or it's like it's better if you rescue them. The point is, like, once you know that, it's not a decision anymore. And these are like, sorry, these are in the special edition and the remastered edition, just some director's commentary stuff that you have to find. If you want to play it, you have to find them in the levels, which I think is kind of a cool way to implement that. But, point being, like, you always rescue the little sisters because that's just the correct decision. Like, it's just, that is how you get the most Adam. It's a little bit slower, but you get there, which is kind of the point. But whatever, so... Or even if the math is a little bit, I don't know, the numbers are so close that there's no reason not to, because in those little teddy bears you get a lot of other goodies, plasmids and tonics and stuff that are really nice to have. So, like, it's, like, actually no reason not to just rescue all of them. So we can buy stuff. We can buy these health and Eve upgrades. We can buy, this is a tonic that first aid kits also give me Eve. Armored Shell, reduce all physical damage, and Enrage is the plasmid that we heard Suchong talking about in that audio diary earlier. Enrage is a target, causing it to attack someone other than you. So this, I like this a lot later on in the game, because you can kind of hide out somewhere and, like, spit it out, and suddenly this group of splicers, one of them starts attacking the others, and, like, it's very easy to dwindle numbers by doing Enrage. Or, like, you can send splicers after Big Daddies and stuff, like, basically make them commit suicide, but slowly you whittle down the Big Daddy's health. It's like, this has a lot of applications, but I only use it after I get more skill slots or more plasmid slots. I will take Armored Shell instead of Wrench Jockey, because I don't use my wrench that much. Because I have my first Big Daddy fight in just a minute, and that is definitely, the Big Daddy is all melee, so I want to be able to protect myself from him.
Andrew Ryan asks you a simple question.
You're ready.
Yeah, okay.
Time to take on one of them big daddies.
Quick save.
Won't be easy, but it's the only way to get to the little sisters and the Adam they carry.
Yep. So Big Daddies are so... This Big Daddy, this first Big Daddy of the game, is always tough because you just don't have a lot. You don't have a lot to work with. You know, it's just... I just have to go ham on him with what I... Oh no, that's fine. Okay. Like, I'm gonna lure him down. Ugh! There we go. So I'm just... So now I got him sidetracked onto that one. Ah, I did it without dying. Beautiful. Okay. That doesn't happen very often. It kind of depends on how much I set myself up. Like, if those turrets get destroyed, then it becomes a little bit harder because he was distracted, you know? Searching for money. Loot, 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 loot. So, like, it's... That first battle's always obnoxious. I never like doing it. Oh, I didn't go in here yet, did I? Ooh. Oh, yeah, this is Andrew Ryan being mad about hacking.
It has been brought to my attention that some citizens have discovered ways to hack the vending machines. I should not need to remind each and every citizen of Rapture that free enterprise is the foundation upon which our society has been established. Parasites will be punished.
So, you know, parasites, like, if you're the kind of person who would hack a machine that someone has invested in to, like, put it there, like, if you're trying to get something for less than you're supposed to, than the owner intended, you're a parasite. But screw that noise, we weren't in Rapture, so we don't care. We're not here to follow that nonsense. Get some armor-piercing rounds. So this is the other type of vending machine, El Amo Bandito. It's exactly the same concept as Circus of Value, except... Oh, gotta go around. Okay, it's exactly the same concept. It is just, instead of general goods, like the Circus of Value, it is ammo. It's like specifically ammo, but like it has ammo that you don't find in the Circus of Value. So like these anti-personnel rounds, you know, I think machine gun rounds were in the other one, but like it's more noticeable in the later levels when you have more weapons and stuff. Like there's a lot of variety in what you get in the Ammo Bandito as opposed to Circus of Value. So I think, okay, so I have 140 Atom. I can run back around and go here. You know what, I'll probably buy Enrage now and hold on to it and just use it later. Like, actually buy it later. I don't need these yet. At later Gatherer's Gardens, I can spend 80 to it's either 80 or 100. I think it's actually 100. To get additional plasmid slots. You have to buy them. So I kind of just want to save the Atom I have now to buy those slots when I'm able to. I think that's everything I can do in Medical Pavilion. I'm pretty sure I just go back to the front now.
Emergency access. Come through as soon as you get there. You got Ryan's eye now. You won't hear them coming, but they'll be there before you know it.
So now we have a nitro. We have a nitro splicer we have to try to fight.
Got it! Tracking everything! They're running! Someone get...
Boom! Ain't got nothing on this. So now that I have the key, I can turn off the security alert. I did everything. There was nothing else in
How
here.
you managed it, but you did. Come through to Port Neptune now. I'm looking forward to shaking your hand.
So we get to go through here. I'm pretty sure that's everything to do in Medical Pavilion. There we go. So the bathyspheres are like how you get around all of Rapture. So pretty much at the end of most levels, you have to pull the bathysphere level, and there we go, we come up to this. So like this first one is Medical Pavilion, and like each of these is one of the levels. So you just choose where you want to go to. So I want to go to Neptune's Bounty, so I select Neptune's Bounty, and I can go there. I do like Neptune. I definitely like Neptune's Bounty more than I like Medical Pavilion. But that is going to be for the next episode. We're already at the end of this one. So I'm hoping I feel like I did a much better job in this episode, so I'm hoping that I can maintain this kind of improved talkative tone. I got advice from a friend about maybe slowing down a little to digest the atmosphere a bit, and I don't know if I did that successfully, but I am gonna try to bear that in mind for Neptune's Bounty. In any case, thank you guys for sitting through this episode. This one is definitely longer than the last one, so, you know, and it's an amount of time, so I appreciate the effort. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.